Good morning, surrendered souls. So, listen, meditation. Now, if you've ever wanted to get started with meditation, or you've heard me talking constantly about the power of meditation and the importance, even 5 mindful minutes or whatever it is, then I'm going to take you through a process now where um, between today and the next 91 days, which will bring us to the first week or the last week in December and the first week in January, December 24, January 25. So that by the time you get into that first week in January 25, you've got a consistent meditation practice that you can use to supercharge whatever else it is that you're going to be doing in your personal, spiritual, professional life throughout the year. Right. So Earl Nightingale says it takes 90 days. I guess that's not an exact science, but the bottom line is if you do something every day for 90 days, you're likely to carry on doing it. It's going to be part of your everyday practice. Now, the thing with meditation is sometimes people get caught up on or get hung up on how long they sit for, and exactly what time and exactly what their meditation space needs to look like and all of those things. And, honestly, none of that stuff really matters. I mean, as you get into your practice, you're going to naturally sit for longer. You're going to naturally find things that serve you, but you're also going to be able to just in a hot second meditate, like in the car when you're driving, or whatever it is. So don't worry too much about those things. Let me take you through just a few little troubleshooting points, but just to give you a heads up, overall I'm going to start off with 1 minute once a day for about a week, right? And then I'm going to ask you to do 1 minute twice a day for about a week. And then we're going to do 2 minutes twice a day for a week and build it up from there. I'm going to give you 28 daily videos with a reminder for your meditation practice and a little bit of just background around what meditation is, where it comes from, how it can help you, what you might be noticing on those particular days. And then from about after day 28, which is about 4 weeks, I'll then just drop you a video a week just to keep you on track. So that just gives you a kind of an overview. Now, sometimes people say to me, how will I know if you're saying sit for 1 minute or sit for 5 minutes or whatever it is, how will I know that I have sat for long enough? And I would say, don't worry, you'll know. If you're sitting for 1 minute once a day, or you're up to, I don't know, 5 minutes twice a day or whatever it is, you sit down with the intention that you're going to meditate for that amount of time. And the sitting with the intention is already that success, right? So if you sit for the intention of being there for 1 minute, and then when you feel ready, that first instinct that says, okay, this is enough, try and sit past that. Okay. And then once the next instinct comes along that says, yeah, this is definitely enough, just get up. Right? That's fine. And you might notice that you sat for 20 seconds. You might notice that you sat for 1 minute. It might be 4 minutes, whatever it is. But it's about sitting. That's what you're aiming for. And the reason I would say the first instance of is this enough? I want you just to practice with that, pushing your boundary just a tiny bit every time. So the next time you sit, say in the first day you aim for sitting for 1 minute and you end up sitting for 3 minutes. Golden, right? Or you end up sitting for 20 seconds, golden also. On day 2, regardless of how long you sat on day 1, your target is still 1 minute. Your target is still 1 minute, okay? And then no matter how long you sit for in that first 7 days, the target is 1 minute on those days. And then in the second week, no matter how long you sit for, the target is 2 sessions for at least 1 minute, no matter how long they are. So I want you just to build that success, that feeling of I had an intention to sit and meditate and I sat and meditated. We're winning. That's what you're aiming for. Okay, so another question. Let me just scroll and see what was another question that came into me. What if my mind won't stop racing? Yeah, this is a classic one. Okay, let me just tell you. It's supposed to race. Your mind is supposed to do that, right? That is your mind. That's what your mind is supposed to do. We're hooked up to the universe and intelligence. We couldn't unhook ourselves if we tried. So Information and ideas and thoughts and all of that stuff is going to come through. It's going to pass across the screen of your mind. That's supposed to happen. Now, the thing about meditation is that all we're doing is noticing that that is happening. We're not trying to stop it from happening. We're just noticing that is happening. And then in time, we'll get to the bit where we won't follow it, right? So you're sitting there at the moment, and before you start a meditation practice, you probably don't have such an awareness of how many thoughts and the level of detail and all of those randomness and whatever that is passing across the screen of your consciousness. So the first win is when you realize that I sat for a minute and my mind was noisy. That's a win. That's what you're supposed to do, right? So when you have that experience, you know that you're doing it right. The next step will be not following that thought. So as the thoughts come along and you go, oh gosh, yeah, this morning, oh, this, I this thing happened on the way to walking the girls to school, or whatever it is, I'm thinking about myself, obviously. The ability not to follow the thought. Now, at the beginning, you'll follow those thoughts, you're used to it. So every time you realize that you're engaged in that thought process about whatever it is that you're thinking of, just bring yourself back to your meditation. It can be that you're breathing. As I do the videos, I'll tell you some examples of things to focus on, but just bring yourself back to those. But every time you notice that you were lost in thought, and then you bring yourself back, that is actually what meditation is. So it's knowing how busy your mind is, and then the next step is realizing that as busy as my mind is, I don't have to follow it. That's the next step. Okay, so your mind is supposed to be active. Notice it and bring it back. And what you'll notice as you go through and you get more regular and consistent practice is that you will notice quicker, right? So at the beginning, it might be that for the entire minute you were lost in thought. That is fine. That is a win for your meditation. Okay, so as you go through, you'll get to the point where you'll be lost in thought, and then after 30 seconds you'll realize, and then you'll bring yourself back, and then it will be 25 seconds, and then 20, and whatever. So you're going to get quicker at noticing that you're lost in thought. So that's what you're aiming for. And then, as I've said before, and I don't know, I probably put it in the video before, but the ability to notice when you're distracted is going to help you in the rest of your life. So say if you're trying to prep for a pitch for a I don't know, something at work, or you are reading a book or whatever it is and your mind wanders, you will notice and you'll bring yourself back on task as well, which is going to supercharge everything you're doing. So let's see, I think there was one more. Okay, there's two more questions, right? So what if my family needs me during meditation? Yeah, I get that one. So my girls at the moment, they are 6, 8, and 10. As I record this in October 2024, my girls are aged 6, 8, and 10. And so between my girls, between my own racing mind, between my husband, between work and friends and all of that stuff, there's all kinds of stuff going on in my mind. But obviously the girls are at an age, especially Seraphina, she's only 6, are at an age where they might still need something from me. So what I'd say is, if they need something from you and you've already started, just stop and go and help them out, right? Because if they need something, they need something. You go and deal with that. Now, you later on and moving forward can prep for that by telling them that you are going to be meditating, and then giving them some strategies for things that they can do. Tell them how long. I'm going to be sat for X amount of time. Okay, so if you can help it, don't bother me during that time. And then tell them what counts as an emergency and what they can solve themselves. If you need some water, get your water. If you need to cook something, wait the X amount of time that I'm meditating. And for you, if you were about to serve lunch, that's probably not a time for you to meditate. Try and choose your times where you know that your children and dependents are going to be okay for that period of time. But ultimately, if they need you, you just go and deal with it. Okay, and don't worry about it at all. And then the next time you just sit. Okay, so absolutely fine if you get distracted during meditation. Now, I used to, at the beginning, I'd get distracted and then I'd come downstairs and be feeling the irritation. Oh, I was trying to meditate. And obviously that goes against what I was trying to bring into my life. But that, I mean, I was irritated and frustrated. I had to go through and learn those lessons. And now I can tell you that if that happens, it's kind of normal. But catch yourself in it, and, try not to judge yourself as hard as I had judged myself. And just know that distractions will happen, things will go wrong. That's just part of the process. And you just kind of deal with it moving forward. Now I would say, you probably, I don't know if you've, I was going to say you probably saw the video from last week, but now I would say send it, love. But I can say that now because I've had that experience. I hadn't had it at the time. Okay, so the last question then, how will I know that I am making progress? So if you've got any other questions, by the way, post them under the video and I'll respond to them there. How will I know that I'm making progress? Okay, so this is a good one. So I mentioned a little bit before when I'd said sitting. Just having the intention to sit in meditation is already progress if you actually sit. So first, having the intention is progress. And then if you actually sit, that's the next step of progress. And then the next thing is noticing that your mind is racing. Here's more progress. Then noticing that you have followed, your sense of consciousness is lost in an object, so it's lost in whatever that thought process is. Realizing that you're lost in thought, that is progress. Bringing yourself back, that's progress. Noticing that you get lost in thought for shorter and shorter and shorter periods, that's progress. So we're not saying that you're going to go from no meditating to half an hour meditations daily. Like, you can, it is possible. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but if you're watching this video, you've likely tried that and it didn't work out for you. So it's not that it can't work, but it's just that I found personally tiny steps worked better. Right? Whose book is it about the 1%? Somebody's got a book about 1% gains. I haven't even read the book, but the concept of a tiny improvement makes a lot of sense, right? And I keep meaning to read the book. At some point I will, but I haven't yet. So you celebrate that kind of those small wins, those tiny bits of progress, and overall patience is key. Okay, so you just trust the process. If nothing else, you sat, your mind raced for a minute. That's fine. If nothing else, you sat, your mind raced for 5 minutes. That is fine. Once you get into the habit of actually sitting, then we can start working on how we stop ourselves from following our minds. Now, we don't stop the mind from racing, but we stop ourselves from following that mind. Now, when I did my hypnotherapy training, I trained with Ali Campbell. And he had this great analogy where he talked about standing, like you're standing at the side of the road waiting to cross the road, or, you're just out there in the road and you can see all these cars passing you by, but you're not in the road. You don't actually get in one of those cars and travel up the road. You just watch the cars going up and down the road. And so the thing about not following, it's like we don't stop the traffic. It's not about causing a traffic jam. We don't stop the traffic. We allow the mind to do what it does. That's what it's supposed to do. But we just don't follow one of those cars. We just stand at the road and allow it to go. Now, I'm going to do a separate video all about, because there's a concept that I first came across with Michael Singer's work around witness consciousness. So I'll do a whole video around that, because that's probably the easiest strategy in terms of not following your mind. But for now, I just wanted to give you an overview and a launch pad into what this entails. Please let me know how you're getting on. Any questions, drop them under the videos, or find me on Facebook, same username as I am on here, or email me office@nadinabeng.com, and or just go to the website. You can definitely contact me from the website, nadinabeng.com. All right, anyway, take care and see you tomorrow.